Hi YouTube, my name is Gene. Well, today I'm going to show you how I built the sleep platform and storage system for my 4Runner. This is the second video. The first video I did was last weekend, and it was an overview and walkthrough of the entire platform and storage system, and also the basic camping setup. So if you haven't seen that video, please check it out on my channel. First thing I'm going to do is take everything out of the vehicle and set it on the ground. Then I'm going to walk you guys through step by step exactly how I built the platform. So here we go. Alright, so now I have the platform out of the vehicle here on the ground. And let me just show you how I started building it. First thing I did is I made the bulkhead and divider, and that's this piece here that goes across the rear section of the platform. I also put this piece on it that goes across, and this was real important because the front section of the platform rests on this ledge, and it helps keep the whole platform stable and also level. See if I can show you a better view of the bulkhead. There it is. And the back side of it. You can see that, but there's the back side of the bulkhead. Alright. Once the bulkhead was done, I just cut the rest of the pieces for the outer frame around the outside. Once I had those, I cut the dividers. I cut the divider pieces and started putting it together and test fit everything. Then I cut the top sheet, and I ripped the length and cut the width at the break where I wanted it to break, right behind the rear seats. And after those two main pieces were cut, then I worked on the bolting system. And basically what I did for the bolt together system was I used some aluminum tubing here under the front side, under the back side of the front section. This tubing, aluminum, you see it right there, it sits on this ledge. And I'll show you a closer look at it. Yeah, I used two pieces. There's one bolt, there's the second bolt, and then there's the holes. There's one hole, and there's the second hole. And basically it sits up on this ledge like this. There you go. It sits on that ledge just like that. And the bolts pass through these holes, through the aluminum tubing, and into the back storage section. And from there, I used two wing nuts, one for each bolt, and attached the platform together. So again, this front section of the platform rests on the rear passenger seat back. I put a towel under it, and that's where it rests. This goes in the back of the vehicle. When it's all set up and in place, everything is perfectly level. Okay, let's see. After the bolting system was completed, then I just measured and cut where I wanted my storage compartment in the back section. And I'll show you that right here. That's how it lifts up. And how it closes. And I just used a piano hinge there. And actually it was, the size I bought was too long, so I had to trim it down some. But once that was done, the last thing I did on the platform is I cut this section with a jigsaw of where I wanted my cooktop pullout to be. If you can see this. There we go. Just cut this with a jigsaw. And once I had that cut, I installed 2 tension spring door slides. Pull this out here. There you go. So I'll show you those door slides from the underside here if I can. There, that's what it looks like from the underside. And there's a better shot of the back side of the bulkhead. And then where the blue tape is where the hinge is for the storage compartment here that opens up. Alright. So once the door slides were installed, I just made a simple wooden pull-out surface there. I think that's Douglas fir. Just glued a couple of strips together and cut it the length I wanted to. So, that's how I built the platform. I guess the part that took the most care and thinking through was the bolt together system, how I wanted to do the aluminum, and how to make it sit on the ledge and get everything the right height and have it all end up being level. But so that's how it turned out. Let me think what's next. After I built it and test fit it, I started on the finished part of it. And first thing I did was sand it all down, the top and especially the edges. And then I primed it. I used 2 coats of matte black primer. I let it dry between the coats. And then the next day I used some Rust-Oleum truck bed liner spray, black. I sprayed on 2 coats and let it dry between both coats, and it was finished. And then I set it in the vehicle here, and oh, also I just put in these 2 little L brackets here. This bolt here was where one of the baffle bolts went down through, I believe. It's been a while. And then this is the second L bracket that I put in. These L brackets just help the bulkhead. The bulkhead sits on between here and the back of the seat. It fits perfectly in this space across the width here. And so those 2 L brackets, I don't even put screws through them into the bulkhead. They just hold it in place. And like I say, the system's very stable. It doesn't move at all. If I ever needed to, I could secure it even more, but I haven't needed to. So once I got it set in the vehicle and I bolted it together, it was done. And so now I'm going to wrap this up. I'll show you the 1-page plan I made. I'll walk you through the tools quickly, and then that'll be it. platform, I've put it back in the vehicle, and so now I'm going to show you the basic one-page plan I did in Google SketchUp, then the tools I used and some of the supplies. So here's the simple one-page plan I did in Google SketchUp. Just put down the main measurements, the length and the width, and then some of the detail measurements, how I wanted the sections divided, also this cutout. And then as I went through the build, I kind of made adjustments and small changes along the way, which I just sketched out here on the back of the plan. So that's what I started with before I went in and bought the materials. All right, set this aside here. These are the very basic tools I use to build the platform. I bought a very inexpensive Ryobi, I don't have the battery in it right now, but a cordless battery powered saw. The one thing I did do that really made a very good difference is I replaced the stock saw blade with, I think this is a Diablo trim blade. It's got more teeth on the blade, and it makes the cuts a lot cleaner. So I'll say one thing on the saw. It's a good little saw, but I kept having to change out and charge battery packs between the Ryobi saw and the Ryobi drill. I have 2 packs, and I just wish I had, you know, longer battery life. I've since upgraded the saw to a skill saw, corded skill saw, and it's got power on demand. And but anyways, this worked out okay for this small project. Here's the little jigsaw I used to cut the slide out in the back. The little pull out, slide out cook surface. And then here are the 2 old Ryobi drills I used. The good thing about the 2 drills is I had one set up to drill the pilot holes for all the screws, and the other drill I just used to sink the screws into the frame. And I really used those a lot, and they worked out well. I just used some inexpensive drill bits. And let's see what else. Speed square. This is the little level I used when I started to make sure the platform was level from front to back. I also made sure that when I worked on it, I had the vehicle on a level surface. So I used that a lot, especially in the beginning. Let's see. I used this framing square a lot here. You see that. The hacksaw. I used the hacksaw to, a couple things. I used it to cut the aluminum tubing that, for the divider section, the bolt together section. I also used it to trim a few smaller pieces in the build. Clamps. I used the clamps to clamp together the floating ledge on the bulkhead. I glued that. Also, I put screws in it, but I wanted to clamp it and let it set up with the glue, let the glue dry. A couple of final things. Oh, here's the glue, just basic wood glue. The screws. This is the brand of screws I used, and I used a couple of different sizes. I think I used 1.5 inches. These are 2 inches. I may have used some that were a little longer, but these worked out great. I got those at Home Depot. Little tape measure here. I use a lot of blue tape, and I used it on this project. I used it for marking and also just to so I could get clean cuts on the plywood with the saw. Alright, finally I just used some hand sandpaper. I think this is 120 or no, I think this is 150 grit. And then I used some safety gear. I used the these earmuffs while I was using the saw. I used the eye protection, and I used this dust mask that I got off Amazon. I don't have the black matte primer paint I used, but what I do have is I have a can of this Rust-Oleum truck bed coating that I used, and that's the main thing I wanted to show you. Rust-Oleum truck bed coating. There it is, and I think I got it at Home Depot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I bought it at Home Depot. And I either used 2 or 2.5. I'm not sure. This is what I have left over. I think I used 2 cans on it. So, been very pleased with that. So, those are the tools and materials I used. Alright. Now I'm just going to wrap this up. Alright, so that's a more detailed walkthrough of how I built the sleep platform and storage system for the 4Runner. I hope this information helps someone out there who's considering doing something along these lines. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below the video, and I'll do my best to reply. Also, if you haven't watched the first video, please go to my channel and check it out. That video is the overview and walkthrough where I show the main features of the platform, and I also show my basic camping setup. So, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I think that's it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.